I was brought up to believe that it was impolite to ask a lady how old she is. How old are you?
I'm proud to say that I'm 81 years old.
And can you think of any advantages in being 81 years of age?
Lots of them. One, when you're younger, you do things that you have to do. And now that I'm older, I can do things that I love to do. Two, I think I have a better sense of who I am than when I was younger and I was more amorphous. Three, I have time for community service, which I dearly believe in. And four, because you're a guy, you wouldn't understand this, but as a woman, I don't have to wear high heels anymore.
You give the impression that you're always calm and collected and serene. Is that a false impression?
Let's say I'm a bit like a duck, serene on the surface, just gliding along and paddling like crazy underneath.
Let's talk about paddling under the surface. If I'm a paddler, would you give any advice about direction, how to paddle, how to keep calm when you're paddling?
I don't know if I would tell you to keep calm, because actually I think in life it's important sometimes to step out of your comfort zone. Because until you step out of your comfort zone, you don't really know what you're capable of.
Can you give an example of stepping out of your comfort zone?
I was gainfully retired from my advertising agency. I was recuperating from breast cancer and a mastectomy, and my husband saw an article in the newspaper that Horizon Theater was going to form a senior ensemble. And he said, you ought to go down and write for them, you're a good writer. So I went down and met Jeff Adler, co-artistic director, and I said, Jeff, I would like to write for your ensemble. And he said, well, show me some plays you've written. And I said, I haven't. But I'm a good writer and I'm a fast learner, so give me a chance. And I began writing scripts for them because my background is in writing. And then he said, why aren't you performing? I said, oh, do you think I can perform? He said, I think you should try it. And so I began taking acting classes, and pretty soon I was performing with them. And then I thought, I would really like to do more than skits. I would like to do plays. I would like to have actors who audition for their plays. And so I said to my husband one day, honey, I have an idea. And I told him, and he said, it's going to take a lot of time, but if that's what you want to do, I'll support you in it. My experience has been that people whom I needed, or experiences that I needed, would come when I needed them. And I said, okay, I want to create a theater that will go out into the community, particularly to seniors, because I had a stepmother who, after my dad died, developed esophageal cancer. And radiation treatment closed her esophagus, and she could only get nutrition through a port in her abdomen. And she said, that's it, I'm not going out anymore, I have to have feedings every 2 hours. And at that time I thought, there must be a way that we can bring theater to people, because I believe strongly in the power of theater. Instead of people having to go to the theater. But at the time, as I mentioned, I had an ad agency and my own set of deadlines. But I thought, when I was working with Jeff, now is the time to test this idea. Let's form a theater that we can take out to the people. Well, you know, when you have an idea, there's only one person who can carry that idea forward. And that's the person who has the idea. And our mission was to take live theater to those seniors who, because of financial difficulties or physical constraints, would find it difficult to attend conventional theater. And we're now completing our 8th season. And this year we will have 50 performances. So,
50 performances?
Yes, so that's why I call myself an accidental producer. I didn't start out to do this.
You did something that a lot of high achievers do. That is, one, you saw an opportunity, at least your husband saw one, and you recognized it as an opportunity, and then you seized it. You had enough self-confidence to go down and try. Describe, if you can, go back to that moment about seeing an opportunity and seizing?
I think I've always had a willingness to try new things. So although this was a new thing, I thought to myself, if you just try hard enough, if you persevere, you may not be the greatest writer, you may not be the greatest actress, you may not be the greatest organizer, but if you persevere and really try hard, there's a chance you could make it work.
I think I heard you say that you've now done 80 productions. So I would imagine that it was one success right after another from the very beginning. Never had a failure.
I've had a lot of very anxious moments, but I don't know if I would call them failures. I think I've learned from each challenge that we've undertaken. We started out doing performances with our actors, and then at the end of our performances, we introduce our actors. And a few years ago, people said, "Oh, this looks like so much fun, don't you have something we can do?" So we began a second track called Participants Theater, in which we teach actors, volunteer actors in retirement communities and senior centers, how to perform and how to put on a show. I had no experience doing that kind of thing, but I had people within the organization who had those skills. And so part of it is keeping your eyes open for people who have the skills that you need that will complement what you have.
You may not have had a failure, but I would imagine you have had some temporary setbacks. How do you deal with a temporary setback?
I play a lot of free cell on my computer until I calm down. I think that I like to be very prepared for things, and so when something unexpected happens, I get a little bit anxious about it, and I say, okay, how can I meet this challenge? And part of it is to calm down and say, okay, have faith that you can make it work for you. And so part of it is just having faith in yourself. And if I were to give advice to the generation coming along, it would be, have faith in yourself and be willing to step outside of your comfort zone to see what you can achieve.
I'm sure you've observed people who went to work every day, and so their lives were defined by the 9-to-5 routine, the structure of a regular job.
Mm-hmm.
Then they retire, and there's no structure anymore. And some of those people vegetate with no purpose, no structure for the rest of their lives, which may be decades. What are your thoughts about how to have a fulfilled life after retirement when there is no structure that you have to fit into?
That's a very good question. And actually, through the series of video interviews we've done, one of my interviews was with Dot Benson, who founded the senior centers, or brought the senior centers to Atlanta. And she said you had to give people a reason to get up in the morning. Otherwise, why get up? And so for me, and for many of the people we've interviewed, I found that giving vent to their creative sides is terribly important. And there's actually a National Center for Creative Aging, which seeks to engage our creative abilities as we age. You know, our bodies may deteriorate a bit. They don't look the way they used to look. Our faces don't look as good as they used to look. But we've had life experiences, and we've achieved some wisdom through that. And I think if we can help people reach their creative potential, that's wonderful. When we do Participants Theater, I love it. I see people who used to walk around with their head down suddenly look up and project out to the audience because they know that people will listen to them and they have something to say and they have a talent. So giving people a chance to use their talent is wonderful. We actually had one of our actors, Evan Weissman, is a retired cardiologist, and now he's taking up acting. We have people like Retta Glenn, who took up acting in late middle age. So one of the things that we try to do with Atlanta Theater to Go is to give people an opportunity. We're doing a play now written by a young playwright who actually composed the music on a computer. She would not have had a chance to get her play mounted in a conventional theater. They couldn't afford to do it, but we can afford to do it at Atlanta Theater to Go.
So at least for the people who are involved in Theater to Go, you give them a reason to get up in the morning, right?
We try to. We try to.
And you have a reason to get up in the morning.
I also have a reason not to go to bed too early.
Have you found pleasure in the journey, not just in achieving or getting to the destination?
I think the pleasure is in the journey. You know, it's wonderful when we have a new production up, but I actually enjoy watching a play come together. I enjoy seeing the director working with the actors. I enjoy having the playwright come to the reading and saying, oh, I hadn't thought about the play that way. So I really enjoyed the creative process itself. The final product is nice. I mean, it's wonderful when the audience applauds. It's wonderful when the audience gets up and goes, bravo, bravo, encore, encore. But just the act of creating and of allowing other people to create and to use my creative abilities for community service and to give our actors an opportunity to use their talents for community service, that is a reward in itself.
So in some ways, you don't just start doing something when you're 80. It is a continuation of a lifelong process, is that right?
When I look back, I sometimes wonder, who was that girl? And I'd like to tell her that everything's going to be all right when you grow up. So I wish I could talk to my younger self. But
Did you say that? That everything's going to be all right?
I wish I had said that. In my mind, I say that. But I wish I could go back and tell that younger girl, you know, it's all going to work out okay. And it has worked out okay. Better than okay.